Some acts of kindness, especially during Christmas, don't just help, they change lives forever. It was Christmas Eve, and the grocery store buzzed with the chaos of last-minute shoppers. Carts bumped, children cried. Holiday jingles echoed hollowly through the aisles. Amid it all stood a man who looked like he barely belonged in the rush. Coat too thin, eyes too tired, holding a small red box that carried all the hope he had left. Cake inside read, "Merry Christmas, Leela." Mark shifted from foot to foot in the checkout line, his fingers trembling as he counted coins from his pocket. Some were pennies, some were foreign. A few old coupons, curled at the edges, trembled in his other hand. Behind him, the line swelled with impatience. His daughter, maybe 6, wore a hand-me-down red coat 2 sizes too big. She clutched his sleeve and looked up at him, not worried, not scared, just waiting, trusting. The cashier scanned the cake, glanced at the register, then at him. "Sir, you're still short." Her voice wasn't cruel, just read from behind them. Someone sighed loudly. "Come on, it's Christmas Eve," a man muttered. Mark swallowed hard. He reached for his wallet, though he knew it was empty. Then a voice, low, firm, cut through the static. "Let the girl have her cake." A rugged man in a grease-streaked coat stepped forward, eyes calm, shoulders steady. He didn't wait for thanks, just pulled out a card and nodded at the cashier. The whole store paused, as if the lights had dimmed around this one moment. Mark had once been the kind of man who sang while washing dishes, who danced with his daughter in the kitchen under flickering fairy lights. But that was before grief hollowed out the spaces where laughter used to live. Before last Christmas, when cancer took the love of his life, and with her, most of what held him steady. No, each day was a quiet battle. He scraped together change by wrapping gifts at the mall, shoveling snow before dawn, even pulling on a worn Santa suit to make ends meet. He never let Leela see the cracked coat he wore was from last winter, threadbare and frayed, and the guitar slung over his shoulder hadn't sung a note since the funeral. Still, he carried it, like a memory that hurt too much to let go. As he tucked a blanket around Leela that night, he whispered to the quiet, "She deserves at least one happy memory." The town sparkled with Christmas lights strung across rooftops and wrapped around lampposts like glowing ribbons. Wreaths hung on every shop door, pine-scented and perfect. Inside the store, the air was thick with urgency, carts crashing, scanners beeping, carols playing too loudly to cover the stress outside. Snow began to fall in soft, lazy flakes. Children shrieked with joy, tossing snowballs, their laughter rising like song. But down the quiet sidewalk, Mark walked in silence. Beside him, Leela cradled the cake with both hands, as if it were something sacred. The moment replayed in Mark's mind like a bruise that wouldn't fade. He had swiped his card twice, hoping some forgotten credit would save him. The screen blinked red. Declined. Cashier sighed, not cruelly, but with the same weary detachment the world had shown him lately. A man in line huffed loudly and muttered just loud enough, "Shouldn't have had kids if you can't take care of them." Mark's ears flamed with shame. His hands instinctively moved to shield Leela, but she was already looking up at him, that brave little smile on her face. "It's okay, Daddy," she said softly. "We can sing happy birthday to baby Jesus instead." His throat clenched. He was about to take the cake away when the man behind him, the stranger in the mechanic's coat, stepped forward. "Let the girl have her cake." He paid swiftly, then turned and handed Mark a small envelope before walking away. Mark hesitated, then opened it as they stepped into the snow. Inside, a folded $50 bill, and a note scrawled in thick black ink, "You're not alone this Christmas. Pass it on when you can." The apartment was silent except for the soft, erratic blink of colored Christmas lights taped to the wall. Leela slept curled beneath a fleece blanket, one hand still clutching a candy cane. Her breath steady and innocent. Mark sat cross-legged by the tiny plastic tree they'd pulled from a donation bin, its bent branches awkwardly holding a few paper ornaments Leela had made. The cake box sat empty on the counter, a single candle stub saved inside. His shoulders shook as tears slipped down his face. Silent but heavy, he opened the old notebook he hadn't touched in months, the one he used to write songs, and later, Letters to his wife tonight. He wrote, I almost gave up today, but someone saw me. Someone cared. Maybe Christmas ain't over for us after all. The ink smudged beneath a falling tear. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. Mark stood frozen at the doorway, staring at the gifts as snowflakes danced around his feet. It felt like stepping into a dream, one where strangers knew exactly what you needed without asking. Leela giggled as she peeled open the paper, hugging the mittens and running her fingers across the new art supplies. But Mark's eyes stayed on the guitar. It was polished, flawless, and full of unspoken promise. He had turned the attached card over in his hands again. Every good dad deserves a second verse. Later, that afternoon, the phone rang. A voice from the local community center introduced herself warmly, then said, Ron told us about your music. We host a Christmas dinner for struggling families each year. Would you be willing to perform? Mark's voice caught in his throat, but he said yes that evening. He stepped into a room filled with folding chairs, warm meals, and hopeful eyes. Families clutched plates, children sat in laps, and when he played his first chord, silence fell, the kind that listens. Not judged if you believe Christmas about second chances. Share this and me own out there needs to know they're not forgo 10 days after Christmas. Mark's phone buzzed nonstop. At first, he thought it was a mistake, until he opened the link a friend had sent. A video, shaky but clear, showed the moment in the grocery store, his trembling hands, Leela's quiet smile, the cashier's indifference, and Ron stepping forward. A local mother had recorded it from a few aisles over and shared it with a caption that read, This is what real Christmas looks like. Kindness when it matters most. The clip went viral within hours. People commented from across the country. The grocery store issued a public apology, suspended the cashier, and, more impactfully, launched a pay-it-forward fund for customers in need during the holidays. The pastor at the town church reached out, asking Mark to perform at the Christmas Eve candlelight service. That night, with Ron in the front pew and Leela beside him, Mark sang a song he wrote just days before, For Those Who Hold On. Even when the world lets go. After the service, as people mingled beneath the soft glow of string lights and warm cider scents, Leela tugged gently at Ron's sleeve. In her small hands was a handmade ornament, a tiny clay cake painted in red and gold, with the word hope carved across it. For you, she said shyly. Mark stepped forward and handed Ron a small wrapped box. Inside was the first coupon book Leela had ever made. One free hug, sing a long time, and pass on kindness. Ron's eyes welled. He hung the ornament on the community center tree. Right at the top, snow dusted the windows of the candle-lit hall as Mark strummed gentle chords, his voice steady, warm. Leela moved between tables with a tray of cocoa, her laughter echoing soft. Light people gathered, not to eat, but to thank him. One by one, with quiet words and grateful eyes, Mark looked at Ron, his smile finally real. This is what Christmas is supposed to feel like. What would you have done if you saw that struggling dad at the register on Christmas Eve? Have you ever given or received kindness that changed everything? Share this story to remind the world Christmas miracles are real.